Hi everybody! Today we're building garden beds, where we turn this into this. But these are no ordinary garden beds, they're wicking beds. So, what is a wicking bed?
Unlike traditional raised garden beds, which are simply filled with soil and watered from the top, wicking beds supply water from a reservoir which is built at the bottom and is filled from a feeder tube at the surface. They are economical because the water pool does not have a chance to evaporate, and low maintenance because you don't have to water every day. The plants drink water on their own schedule from the reservoir. Much like a paper towel wicks up water when a corner is dipped in, so do the plant's roots.
The reservoir is kept full from a feeder pipe that allows you to top up water as needed. In addition, a weed shield is placed between the soil and the reservoir to prevent soil from seeping down and clogging the reservoir layer. Also, a drainage spout is placed at the top of the reservoir to allow overflow water to drain out during periods of heavy rain. The whole structure is enclosed with pond liner, so without the drainage, you could end up with a mucky pond instead of a garden bed.
It's important to note that you only need 12 inches of soil to grow most plants in these beds. So instead of building a structure, you could use a plastic tub from Walmart or a garden store to build a slightly smaller but easier version. And those are great for balconies. Enough talk. Let's get to work.
The first step is to build a raised surround. I cemented 4 3x6-inch cedar posts into the corner of our 2 3x4-foot soil patches. Next, I stacked up 2 2x10 cedar boards horizontally on each side and secured them to the posts. I angled the corners at 45 degrees for a nice finish and finally cut the top of the post flush with the top of the 2x10s.
And finally, it's time to start building our layers.
You will need sand, pond liner, PVC pipe, porous rock, drain spout, weed shield, and soil. In that order.
We got lucky that our local big box hardware store was having a half-off sale on potting mix because we needed 28 bags to fill our 2 3x4 beds.
We also picked up some open bag red lava rock at a great price, which we'll need to filter and support our reservoir layer. We needed 14 bags of that. We'll go into more detail about how to calculate material later.
Now that our wooden surround is built, the first layer in the wicking bed goes in, which is sand. It's recommended to layer about 2 inches of sand at the bottom to cushion the pond liner, and also to provide a completely flat surface for your substrate to sit on. Because the bed holds water underneath, you need to make sure it's level in order for the water to be distributed evenly to the plants at the top, and also to make sure there is no leakage or uneven drainage from the overflow pipe we'll show you later.
On the lawn side, so there would be no seepage, I crafted a 2x3 piece of cedar and put a 45-degree angle on it. This way, there would be no sharp edges against the pond liner.
With the base level and cushioned, it's time to put in our pond liner. The pond liner makes an enclosed structure where water is able to easily pool at the bottom for the plants to drink.
The thicker the pond liner, the less likely you are to get leaks in the future, but pond liner is expensive. After a thorough search, we settled on a 14.5 mil product by Total Pond called Pond Skins. Although not the thickest on the market, it has a woven crisscross layer to make it extra strong. In beds like ours, you simply stuff the pond liner in, leaving room for it to expand into the corners and secure the edges with clamps to hold the sides in place. The liners will naturally settle into shape as they take on the weight of the substrate and soil. You can secure it as one of the last steps in the process.
The first step in building the reservoir is to cut a section of perforated PVC pipe to run horizontally the whole length of your bed. This pipe will allow water to drain evenly to the reservoir.
And if you come over here and look down the pipe, you can see the holes are right here. And therefore the amount of water you want. If you want it to drain more, you'd put it that way.
You can simply cut the PVC pipe with a small hacksaw to get it to the desired length, remembering to allow for the elbow joint. This is attached to a solid vertical PVC pipe by an elbow joint. The vertical section is used to feed water down to the reservoir as needed. Be sure to cut the vertical piece long enough to stick up past the soil and get an end cap to keep unwanted soil from passing into the reservoir.
This Red Hot Blue Glue Christie's, and it comes with an applicator, and basically it's quick drying. You rub it around. What I do is I put it on first, get the pencil mark so I know exactly how much I'm going to put on there. Then as you put it on, give it a little turn, and it puts a nice seed on the top. Let that dry. Like I said, I just put this on a minute ago and it's already got a thin skin on it.
Obviously, the feeder pipe is the most important structure in your wicking bed. Make sure it sits properly, runs the whole length of the bed, and is securely joined with the elbow. The second step in the reservoir layer is to fill it with substrate. We used red lava rock, but any porous rock-type material you can get your hands on will do the trick. As we mentioned earlier, we needed 7 bags for each of our 3x4 foot beds, but how did we arrive at those numbers?
We used 3.5-inch PVC pipe and filled the lava rock to the height of 4 inches. The bigger the surface area of the bed, the deeper the reservoir should be. And you can calculate how many cubic feet of substrate you'll need by multiplying the width by the length by the height on your bed. If you're calculating in inches, remember to divide your total by 1,728, as there are 1,728 cubic inches in a foot.
Now, let's speed things up a little. That was easy. All the lava rock is now in place and we can go to our next layer.
Hi. We need a drain plug on the top of the lava rock. So what we have is a little valve that opens and closes. This screws in. I'm going to put a little bit of dope on there, we'll say. There it goes. This will be glued in the inside. And then the grommet goes on the outside, and that will go into the wood so that water doesn't seep out.
The overflow spout sits at the top of the reservoir to drain off water before it overtakes the soil layer in heavy rain. However, because you want the water to reach to the bottom of your soil layer to be wicked, we chose to use a spout which could be closed during drier periods. Be careful when installing this because you need to drill through the wood and pond liner without compromising it too much. The internal pipe extends into the lava rock to give it a little more reach. Weed shield goes in next. We got a huge roll of weed shield at our local Costco. We won't need it all for this project, but it was the same price as buying a small quantity elsewhere, so we'll use it for another project. No need to secure it to the sides, but do cut a little larger than your dimensions so that you can let it run up the sides a bit when you fill with soil. Its purpose is to keep the soil from dropping into the water reservoir, and that should do the trick. Here we are, dumping 16 bags of potting mix into each bed. Our beds are 18 inches deep. 12 to 18 inches is ideal. Any more and most plants won't be able to reach down far enough to wick. Remember to multiply your length by width by height to know how many cubic feet you need before you start.
Notice how I'm carefully pouring the potting mix into the center of each bed while Sharon spreads it out evenly towards the sides. Remember, don't accidentally leak any soil into the water reservoir, but pack it firmly against the sides to flatten the pond liner as you go.
With the pond liner nicely flattened, it's time to get out the staple gun and secure it to the top of the wooden structure. Since we will be placing a flat surround for the seating at the top, we have chosen to run the pond liner all the way to the top edge for protection, since it won't be seen once we get that secured on. Before finishing off the seating, we decided to plant several tomato plants and some pansies and pennies for color and fill the water reservoirs to make sure they function properly. I hadn't considered that filling reservoirs of this size is like filling a bathtub and would take some time. If you look closely, you can see us stop for a break for a champagne celebration. With the plants already planted, we took a little break and came back a few days later to finish the structures with 2x8 boards for seating. Here you can see Andy measuring to distribute the securing screws evenly over the planks, and checking to make sure the seating is level. Because we chose to run the feeder pipe the whole length of the bed, we also needed to cut a circular hole in one of the crossboards to accommodate the vertical feeder tube. This was accomplished by measuring the board in place and using a hole saw drill bit to drill a hole 3 5/8 inches, ever so slightly larger than the 3 1/2 inch PVC pipe.
Now we're going to drill the hole. There we go.
That did the trick. Fits perfectly. Just one last minor thing to do before we can start enjoying our garden beds, and that's to remove the excess pond liner that's still hanging out from under the seating that we just attached. That can now go away because everything's complete.
So, we have Easter coming up in a week, and I wanted to get these boxes done. After Easter, I plan on sanding them down, putting some varnish on them, and routing the ends, because they are a little bit sharp. Other than that, this is the finished product.
That's the first in our series of garden and home improvement videos. If you have questions about wicking beds that we haven't covered, please leave them in the comments and we'll try to answer. If you want to see more content like this or have suggestions, please like and comment. Don't forget to click the bell to be notified if you want to know when we release the next one. Thanks for visiting Shandytown!